Ever feel like you're running on a hamster wheel that's on fire? Like you're working harder than you ever worked. Your feet moving so fast, it's like a blur. But when you look up, you haven't actually gone anywhere.
So take a look at this. Recent layoffs that were just announced. This is apocalyptic, if I'm being honest with you. UPS, 48,000 employees fired. Amazon, up to 30,000. Intel, 24,000. Nestle, 16,000. Accenture, 11,000. Ford, 11,000. Novo Nordisk, 9,000. Microsoft, 7,000. PwC, 5,600. Salesforce, 4,000. Paramount, 2,000. Target, 1,800. Kroger, 1,000. Applied Materials, 1,444. Meta, 600 employees. Guys, this is also just the beginning, bro. This is just the beginning. Don't say you weren't warned. I was warning you. Many people were warning you. The fact of the matter is, Trump has obliterated our economy with his stupid trade war, his dumbass tariffs.
And every time you get a tiny raise, a little flicker of hope, the cost of literally everything, rent, gas, groceries, even just existing, gobbles it up instantly, leaving you right back where you started.
If I can pick up on what you just said, Sabrina, you've been aware of this for a while. You just said so. You've been noticing that people around you, friends, neighbors, and so on, are using GoFundMe for what that gentleman calls the essentials. You bet they have been.
You're not going crazy. You're just living in the modern American economy. And the most frustrating part about it all is while millions of us are looking at our bank accounts with confusion and some terror, being that it was just Halloween, the ultra wealthy are basically living on another planet, a planet made of solid gold with diamond encrusted hamster wheels that actually take them somewhere. They throwing parties that would make Gatsby blush, buying social media platforms for fun, and building underground bunkers completely shielded from the economic chaos they had a hand in creating. So how did we get here? How did the game become this rigged? This isn't just bad luck or a rough patch. This is the story of how the American dream was systematically taken apart piece by piece, and the basic deal we all thought we had, that hard work leads to a better life, was lit on fire. And we need to talk about who's holding the matches. So y'all remember the deal, right? The one our grandparents got? It was pretty simple. You work hard, follow the rules, pay your dues, and in return, you get to build a good life. A life with a secure job, a house you can actually afford, and maybe even a little bit left over to give your kids a better start than you had. Not balling, but actually living. Well, for most of us, that deal isn't just strained. It's been ripped apart and thrown right in our faces. The math we were taught to live by just ain't mathing anymore. Let's take a look at some numbers, because men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Since the beginning of 2021, consumer prices have jumped roughly 22.7%, while wages have only gone up about 21.8%. And mind you, a lot of that was due to the little bit of bargaining power people had during COVID when they was able to turn jobs down. So on a spreadsheet, that might look like it's just a few percentages apart, right? Not that big of a deal. But ask yourself, in your real life, that tiny gap is actually a canyon. It means that after years of grinding, after all the overtime, performance reviews, your purchasing power has, hold on, wait a minute. Let me check some math. Actually gone down.
Let me be as blunt as I can, and you can see, I've been around a while from the color of my hair, right? You can tell. I've never seen the American economy in this bad shape. Never, ever. And I'm not alone.
Congrats. You've been running a marathon in quicksand. And this isn't just some abstract number on a government website. It's a reason a for sale sign might as well be a not for you sign. It's the cold reality of why owning a home has gone from a milestone to a fantasy. Back in '85, the median house cost about 3.5 times what a median family earned in a year. Today, that ratio has skyrocketed, and it's worse in some cities. The median sale price for a house in the Bronx for September of this year was 600 racks. Think about that. The goalpost hasn't just moved, it's been launched into orbit. It's why just to earn a basic living wage in a state like Massachusetts, and let's be clear, we're not talking avocado toast and lavish vacations. We're talking rent, utilities, food, healthcare, the basic things humans need to survive. Shit, a single person needs to make nearly $29 an hour, and a household with one adult and 2 kids needs an hourly wage of over $70. Let that number sink in. $70 an hour. How is that possible in an economy where the federal minimum wage is still rooted in the last century? Have you been on Indeed lately, where they're asking you to have a master's and 10 years experience so you could have the privilege of earning $25 to $28 an hour? And breaking news, it's probably going to be closer to the 25. The answer is brutal. The system, for a majority of us, isn't creating prosperity anymore. It's stealing whatever little we have, manufacturing anxiety, and selling it back to us at a premium. So what happened? How did we get here? It's simple, and it's time we stop pretending it's some complicated, unsolvable riddle. The game's rigged, y'all. The system ain't broke. It was designed this way, carefully engineered over decades to actively funnel wealth straight to the top, leaving the rest of us to fight with each other over what's left. Welcome to the K-shaped economy, the great divergence, where after every single crisis, whether it's a stock market crash, a pandemic, housing bubble, soon to be AI bubble, you name it, the rich get richer, soaring upwards on the top of that K-line, and the rest of us, we get stuck with the bill, sliding down that bottom slope. The numbers are just baffling, and they tell a story of a country that's been stolen out right from under us. As of 2025, the top 1% of households hold about 30% of all the nation's wealth. That's nearly a third of everything. Meanwhile, the entire bottom 50% of the country, that's over 160 million Americans, own just 2.5%. Let's make that even clearer. Half the country is sharing a tiny sliver of the pie, a few crumbs, fighting for them, while the people at the top are feasting in a banquet hall built off our labor and production. And again, this is not an accident. This is the direct result of decades of policy choices, a quiet war raged in the halls of Congress and on corporate boards. And before you get stuck in a partisan trap, let's be brutally honest. It don't matter who's in office. The whole political system is rotten to the core. Sure, Trump and his cronies may be robbing America blind with things like his big, beautiful bill, tax cuts that overwhelmingly benefit corporations and the wealthy. Orange Face has pulled at least 3 crypto scams this year.
He's crypto scamming his own supporters. He's worth billions and billions of dollars. He's violating the emoluments clause and being the most corrupt president of all time on a daily basis.
But it's not just Republicans, y'all. Don't be fooled. Both parties, time and time again, sign off on the corporate bailouts, the subsidies, and the laws that are written by and for Wall Street. And one of the biggest disappointments is when I got older and started to realize things, I realized Obama fucked us. And here I was when I was younger and didn't know any better, thinking things would change or be better because we had a black president. But it's the same story every single fucking time. When a giant bank makes a catastrophically dumb bet that threatens to tank the entire country, what happens? It gets a taxpayer-funded bailout, a gentle little pat on the head, and a bonus for a CEO.
I want to remind everyone, our president, Mr. Trump, whatever you think of him, made a decision over the last 2 weeks to give a foreign government, in this case, the government of Argentina, that has an extreme right-wing leader that Mr. Trump happens to like and who likes Mr. Trump, his name is Milei, to give him $20 billion to help him out. Well, to be a little bit more precise, what Mr. Trump did is he told the Argentinian people who are going to the polls next week to vote that if they vote for this guy, which, by the way, the polls show they don't want to do, but he said, if you vote for him, I'm going to give you $20 billion.
But when you struggling, when you can't make rent or your student loans are crushing you, you get a lecture. You get told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, a phrase that was meant to describe something that's literally impossible to do, and get your shit together. And this is the core of it. This isn't a race war or a culture war. That's just a theater they sell us to keep us distracted. This is a class war. And the brutal truth is, the wealthy are united in their mission to hoard more and more wealth.
We have 2 political parties, both of whom depend on donors And the donors are not you and me, and not the people who send in $20 or $3, crumpled up in an envelope. We're talking about the people like Elon Musk who give money in the millions to politicians.
They lobby together, they fund campaigns together, and they protect their shared interests. The poor and middle class aren't. And that's by design. They want us fighting over scraps, arguing about immigrants or pronouns, or which old man is slightly less senile, why men and women should hate each other. Media propaganda is real. And the point of it all is so we don't turn around and notice they stealing the whole meal, the table, and the entire damn restaurant while we busy fighting. What we seeing now aren't just random problems. These are the telltale signs of late stage capitalism. No system that collapses on itself every few years is a viable system. Capitalism is like the final level of a video game where all the glitches start happening at once. The physics start breaking, textures falling, main boss can't be beaten. Meanwhile, he's hoarding the power-ups, like literally rewriting the game's code from the inside. The proof is in the numbers. The top 0.1% of households now own more stocks in mutual funds, the main engine for building wealth in this country, than the entire bottom 50% of Americans own in total assets combined. Think about the sheer staggering weight of that. The primary tool that's supposed to help regular people build a future, a nest egg, is almost entirely monopolized by a tiny, tiny fraction of the population. They're not just playing a different game. They own the casino, rigged every single slot machine. And you know what's the funniest part about it? Is when they try to tell us, because never mind what your bank account says, you could have -$7. They're going to tell you the economy is doing great because the stock market is doing good. But who gives a fuck if the stocks are doing good if 0.1% controls it? The market does not give a reflection on how everyday Americans is doing. And the rigging is working better than ever.
By the way, are up 12% in pre-market trading. So
Wall Street loves when you fire people.
the fact that UPS is going to fire 48,000 management and operations people shows that, and by the way, that the stock goes up.
It's getting worse by the minute. In just the past year, the 10 wealthiest billionaires in the U.S. saw their collective fortune increase by nearly $700 billion. That's not just a number. That's more than the GDP of entire countries. It's wealth that was created by all of us, our labor, our data, our purchases, and systematically vacuumed straight to the top. But sure, let's blame your daily coffee and them drugs you buy to escape this misery. And then we're going to talk about your poor spending habits while they're buying another super yacht. But this ain't even an economic issue anymore. It's a full-blown social breakdown. And the real breaking point, the moment of true danger for any society, comes when the system doesn't work for the people who did everything, quote unquote, right. We're not just talking about the working class anymore. We talking about the lawyers, the doctors, the engineers, the professionals who took on mountains of debt, who checked every proverbial box, followed the old school map to success, only to find themselves running in place, staring down a future that's less secure than their parents, watching creators run around live better lives than them. When the people who played the game by the rule book find out that it was fixed, that's when all of the faith shatters. That's when the social contract tears itself in half.
I think for a lot of people, I really, if you're 22 years old and you're just graduating from college, I truly, truly feel for you because, you were just old. You were just old enough where the old system existed. So you were able to take out the debt. You probably still believed in the dream at that time. And now you're just smashing into reality.
A society cannot function long-term when it's split into two completely different, mutually exclusive realities. One of unimaginable, decadent luxury, completely detached from the struggles below, where life is a precarious, high-wire act of just trying to hang on. That gap isn't just unequal, it's unstable. And history has a very clear, very bloody playbook for what happens next.
You only have 11% of 18 to 29-year-olds who have confidence that they will be able to buy a home. But all of these numbers are actually really bad.
We are racing towards the end game, and the final boss is watching his score go up, completely unaware that this entire game is about to crash. Look, this is a huge, confusing, infuriating mess we in, but it's designed to feel that way, to make you feel like you're too small, too tired to do anything about it. I've been there. But as we've seen, understanding the class war already is the first step to fighting back. I had to learn that. It's the moment you stop blaming yourself and start seeing the system for the bullshit rigged game it is. If this connected any dots for you, put a name to some of the frustration you've been feeling, and can't unsee it like I can't, I need you to do something that might feel small, but is actually a radical act of defiance in the age of distraction. Do the whole like, subscribe thingy, smash the button, not just for me, but for the algorithm to tell it that this is the kind of content that matters to people that are hungry for the truth, not just mindless entertainment. And I know you got this video without any ads, so don't go complaining about me e-begging for likes. But most importantly, share this video, send it to a friend who feels like they're going crazy, working 2 jobs. Send it to the family member who still thinks that skipping that coffee is going to make them rich. The more people who wake up and get how the system is really working, the more we break the illusion that we're not alone in this. So where does that leave us? Data don't lie, and it confirms what millions of people are feeling in their guts. Pause.
Hey, yo.
I know this is serious, but come on, y'all. I had to pause after that one. They're feeling it in their empty bank accounts and in their fading hopes. We see it every single day, and now they don't even bother to hide the shit. They're bragging about it. I mean, come on. Something is deeply wrong when 20 billion of our tax dollars gets funneled into a bailout for Argentina when people are starving in the wealthiest nation in the world.
So 40 million Americans are going to go hungry because Trump's a piece of shit and he wants them to go hungry. So as he's building his $300 million Great Gatsby, Marie Antoinette fucking billionaire ballroom, the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom, as he's building that, Americans are going hungry all across this country.
It's rigged when a president can launch a crypto scam that nets him nearly 150 M's when his net worth goes up $3 billion just by becoming president, and his administration suddenly stops prosecuting the crypto billionaires who helped him and pardoned criminals as long as it's the right kind of crime. It's rigged when bland, rhythmless clowns like Elon Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg can drop over $200 million in political donations and free advertising and get a promised seat to dismantle the very regulations on their own companies.
We can't kind of really be surprised if you're a politician whose election costs you X million dollars, which you can only raise from the people who are in a position to give you that kind of money, that you're not going to do things that they're not happy about. Because if you do, not only will they not give you the money they used to, but they'll go find someone to run against you in the next election and give him or her the money. I mean, that is the reality that we live in. We've allowed our political system to go in that direction.
The old promises are worthless, and the American isn't just fading, it's actively being stripped mined for parts by the people at the top. A system this lopsided, this unjust, this absurd cannot last. History screams this truth at us. The pressure builds and builds until something inevitably gives way. The only question left isn't if it will break, but when. And more importantly, what comes after. Will it be chaos or will it be change? Will we let them get away with it? That part is still up to us.